You're mine now. You belong to me. Today we're going to play a new fun game.
Hello and welcome to the Twin Peaks podcast. My name is Dan. I'm doing the song.
My name is Nicole. I should not sing because I sing terribly.
But yet you're continuing to sing anyway.
Oh, God.
Should we do the whole podcast in song?
No, let's fucking not do that.
I think you're right. I think everyone's turned off already. I'm using that as a start. I don't give a shit.
I know you are.
It's too hot. It's too hot. We're using it and that's it. So this is a movie podcast. This week our theme is Tilda Swinton. We need to talk about Kevin and Only Lovers Left Alive. After that we'll pick our films and theme for the next episode. Final part of the show is Stitch Up. We both pick a film for each other, a terrible film, a horrible film that we don't want to watch, goes to a poll. You lost last time. And you had to watch the Braindead.
Dead Alive, Braindead.
And then that's it. And before that, we sort of talk a little bit about whatever we want, really. I mean, what's on your agenda for this week? Have you got any items you want to urgently cross off your list before we get started?
I've had a few Skype dates this week. And when I mean Skype dates...
You kept that quiet?
No, I mean with my mates, not actual dates.
Oh, mates dates.
Mates dates. We finished our logo finally.
Yeah. You proper sorted us out there, mate. They look well good. You sent me over a load of different choices,
Colour
didn't
options.
you? So I don't see. Can't make my mind up at the best of times. But yeah, no, they look good. We've gone for one, haven't we?
Yeah, it shouldn't have taken. It took me all weekend to do it, mind you. Like I wasn't doing it solidly, but I was like, yeah, okay, Nicole, get this shit done. But yep, we've got our logo, so that will be shown next week.
Well, I was just about to say, actually, with the magic of podcasting and all this time travel nonsense where we record and then the episode don't come out for a few days and you've got to think about what's going to be happening to you in that period between recording and releasing the episode and what new events are going to affect you know what I'm saying. But basically, I think, yeah, if you're listening to this, they probably already know that there's a new logo because the chances are that we used the logo for this episode.
Very true.
So there you go. We've got a new logo.
That's about it for me, mate.
So a few weeks ago, the guys over at Movie Drone, Steve and Mark, they asked if I wanted to come on their show.
Yeah.
And I was, obviously, yes, I'd love to. Really happy that they asked. So I have to choose a film. And I've chosen American Psycho. And as we said, with the whole time traveling thing, this episode will be out after theirs. So that episode will already be out for you to listen to. So yeah, Movie Drone podcast, American Psycho episode. That's me. I'm on that.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm
I actually watched that.
You did?
I actually watched that this morning. Fuck me, it's good.
Isn't it? First time watch?
First time watch.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I've been meaning to watch this film. I do like a film that, you know, but at the end of it, you're like, what? Yeah. It plays with your mind. And I actually went onto YouTube and I was like figuring out exactly, it's like, was this all in his head or, you know, what was the director's view on it? But yeah, it was great. I might even watch it again tonight. It's such a like a creative, nerdy thing on my end. You know, with the business cards.
Yeah.
I totally nerded out on that bit. It's like ooh, typography and paper and stuff.
That is a good scene actually. We're all stressing out about their business cards.
What else have you been doing?
Oh, well, I mean, am I going to start moaning now? Should I get my moaning out of the way early? Shall I?
Yeah.
You know when you have one of those days, you just have one of those days and shit just goes wrong immediately. As soon as you wake up, you know, you can't find your keys, you drop your phone, and like maybe once or twice a year I get one of those days, and Saturday was definitely one of those. So it's only a minor thing, but I woke up Saturday and I thought I was start doing some editing on the episode. So I was looking for my mouse, and because the day before I'd changed my living room and my bedroom around, and I've completely changed my flat around. So whenever I tidy up, I always lose shit. So I couldn't find my mouse for about an hour, which sounds minor, but just, you know, that's just a start. And then I found it anyway. After an hour of looking, found my mouse.
Hey,
made myself a nice little protein shake and sort of sat down to drink my breakfast and edit the episode. I'd already got halfway through the editing a couple of days prior, so I was just looking forward to finishing it off. You know, I'd spring cleaned my flat. I think I said the day before. I didn't realise I'd spring cleaned my desktop as well and deleted the editing for the episode.
Oh no!
So I had to start that again. So that cost me a good 3 or 4 hours, I think. Anyway, so I'm carrying on my editing, and then a couple of hours later, wall cupboards, kitchen. I've opened a kitchen wall cupboard.
Right.
I've bent over to get something out of the fridge, stood up too quickly, bumped my head on the corner of the kitchen unit. Well, luckily, I was near the freezer, so I had access immediately to a pack of frozen peas to put on my head. So I think I managed to avoid a bump, but I was a little bit worried there for a minute. It was quite hard.
Oh, dude.
And then for some unknown reason, maybe to do with heat, who knows? I don't know if I mentioned it's fucking hot here in
yeah, I know.
I out of nowhere got a fucking fever, and I just laid there for about 6 hours. And then 6 hours later, I was pretty much fine. I was just knackered because I'd been fevering. But it was weird. It just came and went, mate. Well, I'm glad it went pretty quickly. And then I smashed a glass. I opened the cupboard, the very same cupboard that I bumped my head on, actually. Maybe my cupboard's haunted or something. Maybe it wants revenge on me for some past thing that I've done to it. Maybe I haven't cleaned it enough. I don't know. I definitely feel like something's got a vendetta against me this week. But I'm hoping that all the shit things happened in one day. And just it's all gone now. I can have a nice wholesome week without worrying too much about breaking into a violent sweat.
I'll be charging you £200 for that therapy session, mate.
You're more expensive than my actual therapist.
I honestly don't know how much well, I'm probably thinking Aussie dollars.
Everything's expensive in Australia, don't it? Except for Tim Tams.
No, yeah, Tim Tams are fucking cheap here compared to the UK.
You're
paying £7. £7 for Tim Tams.
I pay it gladly.
If when I come back, man, I'll try and fill up my suitcase with it.
Anything to declare? Yes, 10,000 Tim Tams.
$10,000 worth of Tim Tams in my luggage. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You know, you're like, what's the cash limit? Is it 10,000 that you're allowed to take through?
Yeah, I think it's 10,000 Aussie dollars.
I wonder if you can take the equivalent cash value of Tim Tams and just use Tim Tams as your currency. I'd barter with you with Tim Tams.
To be honest, I would probably only need to bring like a couple of blocks of them, a couple of packets, and that's your 10 grand right there.
What, in the UK value? Yeah.
Sell a packet for $1 grand each. Yeah, done, sorted.
$1 grand? All right, you're pushing it now, aren't you? $1 grand. And what flavour are they? Are they the shitty the other flavours that they try to branch off? No, stick to the original. Stick to what you're good at.
What, the fish and chips? Oh, double choc is the best. Are you into caramel? I don't know.
I'm not a huge caramel guy. If we're doing confectionery reviews, I'm not a huge caramel person. But I'll have a bit of caramel. If some caramel going, I won't turn it down, mate. I'm not that reserved.
What? We're talking too much about Tim Tams.
I mean, you can't. There's no such thing as too much Tim Tams, mate. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Tim Tams are the official podcast snack. I think we decided this a very long time ago.
Yes. Tim Tams and Aussie. Oh, you know what? When I come back as well, I will bring some Aussie crisps, as you like to call
chips.
them. Chips.
Yeah.
Potato chips.
Potato slices.
We got some good brands here.
Yeah,
Red Rock Deli. Smith's worldwide, aren't they?
I think so, yeah. I think they do squares. Or maybe Walkers do squares now. I don't know. I can't keep up with the crisp world, mate. It changes every day.
I remember I brought in a packet of Twisties. I was like, oh, dude, I've got these packet of Twisties. And they were so stale because I've had them for a while.
Stale crisps are the worst thing.
I will get you proper Twisties next time. Yeah. Promise.
Listen, what... Have you been watching any interesting television programs lately? Knowing full well that you have.
Do you want me to mention that TV
I mean,
show?
well, kinda. I mean, you sent me the fucking post on it on Instagram, didn't you? So you might as well bring it up. It's already in my brain now. That image.
So on Monday, apparently this show started last year, and I was in the UK, so I clearly never watched it.
I'm amazed it's been running for that long.
Fuck me. It's called The Masked Singer. There's famous people singing, and obviously they're in a costume, so it could be like a massive cat, or they did last night they had Ned Kelly. I watched it on Monday, and then it was on Tuesday as well. I was like, oh, why not?
You just can't stay away from it, mate.
Let's watch this shitty show.
They've
It's so bizarre. Even the bloody judges are like, oh, who could this be? Oh my god. It's alright. It's like easy, something to put in the background if you want.
Added it to my watch list, mate. Might be open a whole new universe for me. You never know.
Woo!
Don't know if I've still got that gorilla costume, but you know. So we move on.
Let's move on. Let's move on to other shit that I've been watching. Other shit. No, I've been watching some good stuff actually. Hearts and Bones. That was quite good. Aussie film. Based on I don't think it's a true story, but it's a war photographer, and he comes back to Sydney, and he's gonna be in this exhibition with other photographers.
Yeah.
And he befriends a Sudanese refugee that apparently has photographed in his hometown, and kind of doesn't want him to show images from his hometown, because the photographs that he does are can be quite graphic in a way, like showing a lot of war and all that type of stuff. Anyway, I won't go into too much details. Maybe it would be something that you may want to watch, so I don't want to spoil it too much for you.
Okay, I've written it down. It sounds like it's a sit down.
Yeah.
Sit down watch.
100%.
Okay.
You talked about The Host last week, and I watched that as well.
Oh yeah, ghosty camera, laptop video.
It's like Paranormal Activity. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I watched Lovely Bones again. That's quite
Lovely
good.
Bones. Oh, you were on a Peter Jackson.
I didn't realise it was Peter Jackson.
Funnily enough, The Lovely Bones, quick fact, another director that we talk about a lot about, Lynn Ramsey. She worked on The Lovely Bones for many, many years, and it was her baby.
Wow.
And she was trying to get it made, but I think she had, I don't know details, but there was some kind of disagreement somewhere along the lines about where they were pushing this thing creatively, and she removed herself. So Peter Jackson. I just thought it was funny that it's another Lynn Ramsey thing. She keeps popping up. You've seen it a couple of times, then, have you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched it in the cinema. It's the first time I saw Saoirse Ronan.
Oh, she's in that.
Yeah, she's the main girl. So it was like probably one of her first early roles. Yeah, I would say. I got Binge. It's a streaming service here in Oz, because it said American Psycho was on it, and it wasn't. Disappointing. Nice. But it's got this interesting feature. You know how when you go through Netflix and you're scrolling through and you're like, oh, what am I going to watch? When you scroll right to the end of Binge, it goes, surprise me. I was like, okay. Oh yeah, this is a good concept. So I pressed it, and the first movie that came on was The Score, which I've never seen before.
Ed Norton, Marlon Brando.
Yeah, that's about it. I've watched heaps of short films this week, because Mark and Steve, they said which short films they liked, and I watched about half of the ones that they mentioned.
Yeah.
Whiplash, I didn't even know they did a short, and I've never seen the film, so watching that short, I really want to see the full length. Bottle Rocket was another short that the boys chose this week. Six Shooter, which was one of their choices as well. That was good. And then Electronic Labyrinth, not something I would watch usually. George Lucas.
Oh, this THX thing, is it?
Yeah. And that is about it for me. What have you been watching?
I watched Logan, which is the last Hugh Jackman Wolverine movie, which is just absolutely fantastic. I love it. I watched Mad Max Fury Road again.
I saw that. You're obsessed.
I love it. I can't stop watching it. I think it's my third time this year, but it's very quickly becoming my just don't know what to watch, or Saturday night, put it on, go and do something, do whatever, have it on in the background. But I never go and do the other stuff that I'm meant to be doing. I always sit down and watch it. Then I watched Return of the Living Dead 3, which is a film that I saw when I was a young child. Remember it quite clearly, walking into the living room where my parents were. And then there was a scientist who having his hand chewed off by a zombie. I was like, oh, what's this, parents? And
tell me more.
Yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It proper scarred me, that scene. But I actually still enjoy watching that film. It's quite a lot of fun. It's really fucking graphic.
Shall we move on?
Well, we need to talk about Tilda, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
This is obviously our Tilda Swinton episode, and we're going to be talking about. We need to talk about Kevin and Only Lovers Left Alive. We started a new tradition now, haven't we, where we do a bit of research into our chosen topics, which I'm sort of starting to regret now because it's just more work to do, isn't it?
There'll be. I have to say there'll be some weeks that movies that we choose. Yeah. I don't know if we could talk about the topic anyway.
Yeah. Oh, well, we do it or we don't do it. Who cares?
We'll figure it out.
Now, I've got a couple of... I haven't got anything major. I'm not going to give you any fucking major things that no one knows. So just a little bit of background on Tilda Swinton. She was born Catherine Matilda Swinton, 5th of November 1960. She went to like a elite boarding school over here, and she actually went to school with Princess Diana. Her first film was Caravaggio, 1986, and I was watching a few interviews with Mark Commode and others, and just some general Q&As with Tilda Swinton. But it's amazing how like involved she gets with a project. So on that particular one, Caravaggio, it's been her first film with Derek Jarman, and she'd sort of developed a good working relationship with Jarman, as she's done with like many other directors. But on this particular one, they did a lot of filming apparently in Canary Wharf. And there was a lot of building work going on, and there was a lot of, pneumatic drills and hammers and stuff. And the sound was fucked. So they were checking the rushes, and the sound was absolutely fucked. So what they ended up doing was flying to Italy. It was Tilda, the director, and the sound person. They all flew off to Italy and just basically redid all of the sound for the film and collected background noise with, vespers and crowd noises and that sort of thing. So, necessity being the mother of invention and all that, but it was just fascinating. It was fascinating to me how much she got involved with the whole thing there, and it seems like that's just the way that she likes to work. She's had a few sort of collaborations with well-known directors over the years. I mean, celebrated directors. You mentioned Derek Jarman already, but there's Luca Guadagnino, who did obviously Suspiria and Call Me By Your Name. Lynn Ramsey, she's got a good relationship with Lynn Ramsey. Bong Joon-ho, Joanna Hogg, and she's done a few Wes Andersons as well. So, yeah, she won Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars, or technically the title is Best Supporting Actress in 2008 for Michael Clayton. She did a bit of a David Blaine once, mate. She locked herself in a glass case. In 1995, she spent 7 days, 8 hours a day in a glass box, and she just laid there. What? She just laid there quietly. It's in the Serpentine Gallery. I've got written down here. Thank you, Wikipedia. Yeah, so I know this particular piece was called The Maybe, apparently, and it was described as enigmatic and evocative work exploring a series of unanswerable questions from within the confines of a glass case.
How big was this case?
I mean, I guess roughly the size of a Tilda Swinton.
Fuck
How
me.
big is the world? What size is a Tilda Swinton?
I don't know.
Who knows? Human size, probably. But yeah, she locked herself in a case for 7 days. Oh, well, that was quite interesting. I mean,
yeah, I would go stir crazy. I would probably die of like claustrophobia doing that.
Well, you just sleep in there, didn't you? That's what I'd do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just do it. Do it when you're about to go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. I'd just stay up all night and then just sleep in the box, and then just be me snoring away in a glass case there. Oh, look at this! Oh, yeah. Listen, that's all my Tilda stuff, mate. I told you I ain't got much. Just got a few basic things, and then that's really it, really. So, should we move on to? We need to talk about Kevin.
Let's talk about Kevin.
Let's do it. We need to talk about Kevin. Directed by Lynn Ramsey, 2011, 113 minutes long. The tagline on Letterboxd is Mummy's Little Monster. And the synopsis reads, after her son Kevin commits a horrific act, troubled mother Eva reflects on her complicated relationship with her disturbed son as he grew from a toddler into a teenager. The budget was 7 million. The worldwide box office was 9.2 million. Yeah, it's not one of those. It's not a commercial film, is it? It's just I couldn't imagine going to, gather up the family on a Saturday night and let's all go to the pictures and watch. We need to talk about Kevin. That would.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's not that sort of film, is it?
No.
The cast: Tilda Swinton as Eva, Ezra Miller as Kevin, John C. Reilly as Franklin, Jasper Newell as young Kevin, sort of 6 to 8 years old Kevin, because there was a few versions of Kevin in this, and Rock Dewar. Rock would be a great name, wouldn't it? If you could just use it for a day. What's your name? Rock. Anyway.
Oh, from now on, I shall call you Rock.
From this point forward, I should be known as Rock. Oh no, it's already taken, isn't it? I forgot it's taken. By,
what do you mean?
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah,
I could just take the. If I remove the, I can just be Rock.
Rock.
You imagine people. Anyway, what are we talking about? So we need to talk about Kevin. It's based on a 2003 novel of the same name by Lionel Shriver. Apparently, it's a pretty faithful adaptation with a few differences. I don't know what any of the differences are. To be fair, I've not read the book. I read a little bit about what the book is, and from what I could tell, it's very similar with just like a kind of one. You could say key difference, but it doesn't. It sounds like they dealt with it very well in the film. So it's about Kevin. It was about Eva, really. I'd say Eva's the main character of this film, but it is revolved around Kevin, and Kevin is Eva's son. And in a nutshell, he's bit misanthropic. He's intelligent, but he's very nihilistic, and he's a little fucking shit from the minute he's born.
Yeah,
he's crying. He's acting up. He just wants constant attention. And I guess Eva and Franklin, I mean, they're not world's greatest parents, are they?
Franklin especially.
Well, yeah, I think both of them in their own way. I mean, nobody's perfect, obviously.
Yeah.
But and this is not real life, but I guess it's kind of exploring the actions of parents and how that affects the kids, right? But also ask the question: if you just have a kid and it's fucking evil, can you do anything about that? Is it's nature versus nurture to a certain degree? People just like that sometimes, and it's probably, I think, like with everything, it's a bit grey. It's a bit of everything. I guess really, if we're going to talk about this film, we should just say that it's straight up that he sort of does some murders, right?
Yeah, there's a school massacre, and he's the one that starts it. He's the one that does it.
Yeah. I forgot just how relentlessly dark it is, because it sort of tells there's no part of it that's nice, really. You don't get any part where it's like a nice, pleasant section of the film, because it starts off with, it's set in Eva's present, and as things happen to her or she sees things, she's kind of reminded of things that are linked to what she's seen, things that have happened to her in the past, and that's kind of how the story is told. It's not told in like a linear way.
No, it goes back and forth constantly, which might annoy people watching this film. Surprisingly, it didn't bother me too much, I have to say. I don't know about you. I
think because they had that through line of current Eva, and it sort of always went back to that, I sort of knew where I was. And the more I got into the film, obviously, the more I realised where they were, what part of the story they were telling. But I thought it was fine. I thought it was actually done really well, the way they structured it.
Like cinematically, and the sound design were really good. They had the Jimmy Greenwood.
Johnny.
Is that right? Johnny Greenwood.
Johnny
Be Good.
Johnny Be Good. Don't get me started on singing, please. That's not the right thing to do.
uh, Johnny Greenwood, he did the sound. He was on the sound design as well as "You Were Never Really Here."
Yeah.
They were really good scenes that stood out for me when Eva visits Kevin. I think it's the first time you kind of see when she goes to visit him in prison. Yeah,
with the J.
And he's like J-Lees. Yeah.
Sorry.
And he's
inside joke.
and he's pulling out the fingernails and he's popping it on the table, and you're like, oh, that's a bit gross. And then next minute, she's at the supermarket and the checkout chick. Is that what you'd say? Checkout chick.
Yeah, that's the official job title, I believe. In fact, I'm going to be applying for that job in about half an
hour. She opens her eggs up and it's just like completely scrambled. Another egg joke. And then
exactly.
And then next minute you see that's kind of a similarity of the previous scene of her pulling out the eggshells and placing them on the table.
Yeah.
Just something I quite liked. Also, the scene of Kevin throwing food at the fridge.
Yeah.
And then also it cuts back to Halloween and people knocking on her door, on the window, and being all creepy and all that. I don't know. It's just something that stuck out for me.
There was a lot of kind of food references in this, wasn't there? The one what stuck out to me was the red. So at the start of the film, it looks like Tilda's. I mean, my very first thought was blood, but it was. It looked like it was that tomato festival. Where's that tomato festival that everyone keeps talking about?
Yeah, in Valencia, in Spain.
I assume it's that one. It's probably the most famous tomato festival. I couldn't think of anything fucking worse than throwing tomatoes at each other.
I've been to that festival. I've done it once.
I mean, it seems like fun. If they were using anything else, if they were using, I don't know, capsicums, then I'd be well up for it. But not fucking tomatoes.
Peppers.
Yes, peppers if you're British. So, well, what was I saying? So there seemed to be a lot of red-based food in this. So obviously there was a tomato festival at the front where it looks, I mean, she's being carried and looks like she's being celebrated and being treated like some sort of deity, but she's loving it. I guess the point of that opening scene was to show how happy she was when she was just carefree and just mooching about. I don't think there was anything more to it than that. But it was interesting to see all the red. So the tomato soup came up again when you were talking about in the supermarket where she saw that woman whose child had been horrifically murdered by Kevin. When she was hiding, there was several rows of tomato soup with all of the labels facing forward perfectly, so clearly you're meant to notice it and it has some sort of meaning. So
how it should be placed in a supermarket as well.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. If you're doing your job properly, you turn all the labels forward, right? But anyway, yeah, I found it interesting that they seemed to emphasise that tomato soup. It definitely was a presence there that you were meant to notice. Maybe it was kind of because she was facing away from the tomato soup. I took that as her happiness is behind her. She's got nothing left to look forward to because she was standing in front of it. She couldn't see the tomato soup. Maybe I'm looking far too much into this, but from what I've learned about Tilda and the way she likes to work, it seems like she's one of these people where, as anyone with like a good creative artistic vision, right, everything matters in a scene. So all the background, the way the camera's positioned and the costumes and stuff. So and that tomato soup did come up a couple of times. But yeah, I don't think the dad helped at all because he didn't believe Eva at all, did he? He just sort of said, "Oh no, Kevin's his sweet child. My sweet child would never horrifically murder me with an arrow."
With you.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess in that scenario, what are you going to do? What could she possibly have done differently? But I think they all had their part to play. I think the only truly innocent person in this film was the little girl. But obviously that at the very end, because Eva finds out that Kevin had been on a murder spree with the arrows, hadn't he? At the school, he'd locked himself in the school. And I found it very interesting that when he came out of the school and the police put him on the ground to arrest him, I found it very interesting that the sound that they chose to use when he came out was cheering.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I heard it correctly. I thought, oh, it sounds like cheering, but then a few scenes later, you see him walk. It's actually the last scene, I think, isn't it? You see him walk into the gymnasium, and he's got the bow and arrow, and he's sort of bowing to an imaginary crowd, and you can hear this cheering. Right. So, he wants an audience, and apparently, I'm going to paraphrase this, but in the book, there's a line, and it's something along the lines of Eva says, why didn't you kill me, or why did you leave me alive? And Kevin says something like, if you're putting on a show, you don't kill your audience. And they purposely left that line out of the film because they wanted it to be a bit more ambiguous. They wanted you to think about it a bit more and not really give you an answer. And I do enjoy that in a film. But bloody hell, isn't it?
It's fucking dark.
It's dark. I mean, I remember it when I first watched it. It stuck with me for a long time, and I couldn't shake some of those images from that film. This time, it didn't affect me so much because I knew what was coming. But I did have to have a 5-minute break halfway through. I just paused it and I went and I sent a few text messages and stuff. I was just like, oh, I need a breather. I need a breather. Yeah. But I mean, good film though. I think it's a good film.
It is a good film.
It's an incredible film that I don't think that I will ever watch again. What was your thoughts on this film as a whole?
Rating wise, or just in?
I mean, go for a rating if you want, mate. What have you got one in mind?
I'm gonna say 8.5.
Okay.
It's really well done, and like what I like about a film, what I want in a film is great cinematography. Great. If cinematography and sound are bad, then you've lost me. And storyline, obviously. Yeah, I thought this was really well done. And Lynn Ramsey, she's, as we said many times before, she's fantastic.
I think I'll give this an 8. I think this film, because I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I'm twice now. I've seen it twice. I think I'm good with. We need to talk about Kevin. Yeah, so let's move on to Only Lovers Left Alive. The second Tilda film we watched. It was directed by Jim Jarmusch. Came out in 2013, and it's 123 minutes long. The letterbox synopsis is: a depressed musician reunites with his lover in the desolate streets of Detroit. Though their romance has endured several centuries, it is tested by the arrival of her capricious and unpredictable younger sister. And she was a bit of a twat as well, wasn't she? Anyway, what is it with these people today?
Bloody twats everywhere.
Bloody kids, youth today.
Cunty kids.
All right, mate, steady on. The language of the gutter. So the Only Lovers Left Alive, the budget was 7 million on this, and the worldwide box office was 7.6 million. So it lost money when you consider marketing and stuff. Cast: Tilda Swinton as Eve, Tom Hiddleston as Adam and Eve. Yeah. Anton Yelchin as Ian, Mia Wasikowska as Ava, Jeffrey Wright as Dr. Watson, and John Hurt as Christopher Marlowe. What a superb cast. I'm looking at those 6 people, with the exception of Mia Wasikowska, who I'm not familiar with. Everyone else is like they're all proper actors.
Yeah.
Decent cast. The start of the film is we meet Adam, and we see his character, and he's locked himself away. He doesn't have a toilet for some reason. I guess vampires don't need to go pee-pee or poo-poo. Because Ian comes round, because they just drink blood, I guess. They just sort of replenish with that. Ian comes round, and Ian's played by Anton Yelchin, and it's always a pleasure to see Anton Yelchin. He's a great actor, or was a great actor. He's very depressed. He asks Ian to get him a wooden bullet, which is obviously to shoot himself in the heart with, potentially. And he's very depressed. But we learn that he's actually married to Tilda Swinton's character, who is called Eve. We meet Eve, and Eve is living in Tangier with John Hurt's character Marlowe, and Eve is dressed in white. Yes, important piece of information. Eve is always dressed in white, and Adam is always dressed in black. So quite an obvious metaphor for Eve's kind of attitudes and Adam's attitudes. Adam being
Yin and yang.
a dark, miserable fucker. Yin and yang. Yeah, exactly right, mate. When Tilda when Eve learns how depressed Adam is becoming, she gets a little bit worried, doesn't she? And she decides to pack up all of her books and jump on a plane. And there was about a 5-minute sequence of her sort of choosing all her books. I don't think I've ever really thought about vampires traveling on planes before. I've seen it once before in Preacher. There was a scene where the vampires were traveling by air travel, but it could be problematic.
Yeah, because you can't travel during the day.
No. So what are you crossing time zones? You sit. Barry's got the window seat, and he decides to open the window.
You're fucked.
It's a fire hazard, isn't it? But that's not in the health and safety file.
No.
What to do in vampire exploding situation?
I'll ask them next time.
But they loved travelling by air. They did it loads. I kept thinking, they must have loads of air miles, loads of bonus points. Go and stay on a travel lodge for free one night or whatever. Anyway, for the first hour, I made so many notes, and I kept pausing and rewinding, trying to make notes of all of the cultural and literary references that they made. Obvious ones being Dr. Faust, Dr. Watson, Dr. Strangelove. Don Quixote was a book that was shown. Infinite Jest. These are my notes that I've written. Lorenzo Ghiberti, Gibson guitars, William Shakespeare's Sonnet 116, although I do think that they had a little bit more relevance than everything else. And Jack White, randomly, Jack White was mentioned. They went to see Jack White's house because apparently Jack White's from Detroit, and that's where Adam was staying, which was interesting as well. That they chose Detroit because it was set in that post-car industry breakdown, wasn't it? Excuse the pun. I mean, obviously the industry had left Detroit, and the city was run down and empty and desolate, and I guess that's why Adam sort of wanted to be there. But yeah, so I was fiercely making notes, trying to figure out what all these things meant, what relevance did they have to the narrative, and I think what it was not one particular thing, but rather culture as a whole. I don't know, what did you think?
I just know that the director, he's just got a lot of knowledge based on art history and poetry and just culture in general.
Yeah.
And I remember I saw an interview with Tom, and he was saying that, when he met with the director, he's like, I want to describe this movie that I've got in my head, and he's like, oh yeah, so it's it's about love between a couple who love each other so deeply that they respect each other for who they are. And they're quite both creative and poetic.
Yeah.
And he's quite dark and she is quite optimistic.
Yeah.
The yin and yang that we were talking about before.
Yeah.
And by the way that they're vampires. And when Tom heard this story, he's like, I'm 100% in for this film. But yeah, apparently the director, he's got a lot of knowledge with poetry, literature, and he's referenced. I've also got some references in here, like when they booked the tickets back to is it Africa?
Tangier.
Is that in? Where's that?
I don't know. Let's just say Tangier and pretend we know where it is.
So when they booked the tickets back, the names on the passports were Daisy Buchan and Stephen the Dallas, which are characters from F. Scott Fitzgerald books from The Great Gatsby.
Oh, from the Gatsby book.
Yeah. He referenced Loki in this film as well, because obviously Tom Hiddleston had... Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, you're right. There were a lot of references, and it's like I said, I was wondering what they all meant, but to me, it was just culture in general.
Just, I guess, like director putting all of his knowledge into a film.
Yeah, but So the reason why I thought this was commenting on, well, I'll tell you what, I'm sort of going to give you my final thoughts on the film, and then just sort of jump back and tell you why. is that I thought, for me, this film was pretty good. It was incredibly well made. I loved the sound. I loved how it looked. I thought Tilda and Tom, fuck me, they possibly the coolest ever on-screen couple I've ever seen. I'm trying to just think of someone else who, like another couple, on-screen couple. I can't. I think they were fucking brilliant. Tilda and Tom show, that's what we need. But there were so many references in it that I just didn't know what was going on. I felt there was too much in this film. I thought there was too many references. Maybe this was the intention, I don't know, but it kept sending me off on a tangent on, like, for instance, when they there was a part in it where Tilda was reading Sonic 116. I think that was on the aeroplane. And so I didn't pause it, but afterwards I went and read Sonic 116, and then because it's poetry and I don't understand poetry, then I had to read something else about what that Sonic 116 means. So but it sent me down a rabbit hole, and I did it a couple of times with a few things, but it's just like, I think I was a bit annoyed because I was like, I think with Sonic 116, as I said, I think that has more relevance because that's sort of more, it's about love and about what love is and what love isn't. And that's very much, I guess, what this film's about, right? I mean, I guess that's the central thing to this film is their vampire love. Yeah, but then I found myself going down, is this an environmental film? Like, because they're talking about, in one way, they're talking about the longevity of things. Like, one point, the Tom Hiddleston's dressing gown comes up and she says, oh, you know, your dressing gown's over 100 years old. And that was, by the way, this was my favourite scene in the film, and Tom Hiddleston looks down his sleeve and he goes, is it? I just loved his face in it for some reason. But so I found it to be about the longevity of things, how things are sort of disposable these days, because they mentioned YouTube a couple of times as well. And I think it was maybe, so there was so many things that I thought this film was about, and I couldn't really narrow it down to one. If I had to narrow it down to one, I'd say it's a love film. But there was so much other stuff going on in there that I just kept going down these rabbit holes, and I couldn't make my mind up which one was more relevant. So in the end, I just went, whatever. I just sort of got tired of researching it. But it was a very interesting film. It was a very, very interesting film, and I enjoyed watching this more than I enjoyed watching We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Well, yeah, I get what you mean.
I enjoyed, you know.
Yeah. They were from two different times as well, Adam and Eve. So she was like from a Celtic, well, she's from a Celtic tribe. She's like 2,000 years old, and then Adam's character was like 500 years old. So quite a vast age difference. Not saying that they look completely different. They look like in the same age bracket, but she's been around for a long time and quite a wide knowledge of poetry and art, and like even she would touch things, like she touched the guitar, for example, and she would know exactly what era it was from. And how you said about the robe as well.
And her sister as well. We haven't spoken about her little shit sister. I think with the whole death of the culture thing, it's when her character came into it that I sort of had that realization or that thought. It's because when she came, obviously Tom Hiddleston was dreading her coming, fucking not your sister. And he calls all humans zombies. He calls all humans zombies, and LA is zombie town, and he hates it. But when she comes into the film, she's like this little hurricane of just fucking grief, isn't she? She wants to listen to his music, and he's not ready. She helps herself to their blood supply and drinks all their good shit. Oh, blood ice lollies, by the way. I've never seen that before. That was brilliant.
That was great.
Yeah. But yeah, she seems to have no respect for anyone really, and specifically for culture. I think she damaged some of these classic guitars, like his collector's pieces. They all went out for a drink, and she drank Ian. Yeah. And Ian was Adam's mate, and he was upset about that. So she just seemed to have little regard for it. And because she was sort of played as the little sister, I looked at that as today's youth culture. So that was the YouTube generation who just don't give a fuck about, old shit, and they just want this new thing and they want it immediately. They don't want to wait for it.
Yeah.
And then they come in, they'll consume it, and then they'll fuck off. And that's how I saw it anyway. Might be wrong. Yeah, I mean, I really liked the reference of the quantum entanglement that they spoke about with the separating of the particle and stuff, and how they sort of mirror each other no matter how much you separate. And I thought that was all interesting. That sort of fed into the love story element of it, didn't it? Quite nicely. Mm-hmm. We mentioned that Ava drank Ian, and that sort of leads to the climax of the film, doesn't it? And the reason they have to leave Detroit, because Ian got drank and they threw him in the river. And that was one of the things that I was going to ask, see what your thoughts on it were, because when they threw his body in the river, his body dissolved, and that's why I kind of thought, is there an environmental message in this as well? I don't really know why that happened. Why his body dissolved.
Well, I just saw it as, because I wasn't sure. I think I might have just missed it. I was like, oh, maybe they threw him in like this toxic water that has just like he's disintegrated. But now that you say it's the actual like river or ocean, yeah, I guess you could see it in that way.
I don't know. And then there was the whole thing with the mushrooms that were growing when they weren't supposed to be growing.
Oh yeah.
That's what I mean. There was so much of that stuff, and to understand this film, I think I've got to just watch it over and over again and do a lot of research. I don't know. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that is the point of the film. Maybe the point is, look, we've got all this shit. Respect it. I don't know. But I tell you what, it was bloody tiring writing the notes for this film. Mate. It took me about 3 hours to watch a 2-hour film.
Fuck.
I liked it though. I thought it was pretty good.
It was good, yeah.
I'm glad we chose it.
What would I give this film? I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I've got written down, mate. I mean, there's enough in there. There's enough in there that is enjoyable, and apparently it took about 10 years to get made. Apparently, this film had like an 8-year gestation period. Tilda was always involved with Jim Jarmusch. Tom came on later, but I'd agree with you. I'll give this a 7. It's not. I might watch it again one day, but I'm not in a hurry to.
No.
It might be quite nice to just watch it and not be taking notes and stuff.
Not completely analysing it.
Yeah. Why has he got yellow shoelaces? What does that mean? All right, so we agree then. It's 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Might be the greatest ever wigs ever put on film.
So the wigs in this film were made out of human hair, but also yak and goat hair, because Jim, the director, he wanted, because they're vampires, and he wanted to show the feralness of these two characters.
Yeah. And
I think also they mentioned about, the shine that was in their hair as well.
Like a natural shine.
Natural conditioner.
Yeah. I mean, they were pretty impressive wigs, weren't they?
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston's especially, I thought it was just magnificent. If I had access to a wig like that, I'd never take it off. I'd probably take it off now because I feel like my body is melting. But yeah. Got any other facts?
That's it for me.
All right. I have one very minor fact / link. So the director, Jim Jarmusch, we mentioned earlier that there's a Jack White reference. They go and see Jack White's house where he was raised, and he's from Detroit. It turns out that Jim Jarmusch had actually directed a music video for the Raconteurs in 2006. Steady as she goes, steady as she goes. You know that one. Come on, let's have a sing song.
Yeah.
Yeah, he directed one of their music videos. So, interesting Jack White reference there. And clearly that's why he wanted to get in a Jack White thing in this, because he probably mates with him. Or at least there's a mutual artistic respect between the two gentlemen. Who knows? That's all of my stuff on Only Lovers Left Alive.
And on Tilda. We
talked about Tilda. We talked about her. We threatened to, and we did.
Yeah.
We did it. So shall we move on to picking our films then for the next episode?
Next week's topic, yes.
Sweet.
And it's my topic. And because, Movie Drone, I gave them the question for their top 5 short films. I thought we should do short film double bill.
Why not?
How are we going to do this? Is a whole different scenario.
I've got 2 that I definitely want to lock in, but otherwise I've got another potential 9 to choose from. So
Jesus.
That's the beauty of them. They're short and you can just bang them in quickly.
These are my picks. So I'm going to choose 4. So number 1 is Third Kind. Number 2 is Acid. Number 3 is Skin. And my last pick is Rebooted.
Rebooted.
Yes.
All right. So you've picked 4. I'm not sure how you're going to feel about my picks, mate, but I fucking love them. So I'm going with it. That's part of the podcast, isn't it?
Yeah. Are these all fucking horrors?
No.
Okay.
None of them are. I had a horror on my list, but it's not going to be on my final list, if that makes sense.
Okay. Not saying that I've got nothing against horror.
No, me neither.
I know you don't. I might, so Shudder.
What does that mean?
I got it.
I know you don't.
Shudder. I know you don't. I got a free month extra. Oh, because I was like, I better cancel this, and then they're like, do you want to get another free month? I was like, oh yeah, why not?
No.
How dare you offer me? So I might watch that 80s doco, that 4-hour 80s doco. It looks half decent.
I enjoyed it, mate. I mean, it's a long old thing. It took me a couple of goes to get through it, but I don't
think I watched it in one sitting.
No, I wouldn't advise it.
No.
I think I've narrowed my choices down to 4 now, mate.
Hey.
Should I go for 4?
It's been a few hours.
I know. I might just leave all of that in. Might be the most entertaining part of the show.
Oh, banter.
Yeah, bants.
Banter.
Right. I am fascinated to see how you're going to take my picks, mate. So my first pick is Batman, Dead End. My second pick, Batman versus Terminator.
Oh my god. Batman v Terminator. Brilliant.
Pick number 3, and this is the one where I'm combining 2, okay? So I'm going to give you both these titles, but I'm treating it as one because one's a sequel to the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's Marvel's Zombies versus Army of Darkness.
God, this is not what I thought you were choosing.
Isn't it? I thought you were...
No.
Well, I've got my reasons.
It's good.
I've got my reasons for it. I'll tell you afterwards. But and the sequel to that is Ash versus Lobo.
Okay, so that's included in one, right?
In one, yeah. That's my third pick, is those 2. My last pick is The Death and Return of Superman. I've written up all my notes for this episode last night, and as I do every night before we record, I stay up to the early hours doing notes and stuff. And I just sat down and thought I'd watch a few shorts. I was texting you at the time, so I'm going to sit down and watch a few shorts now. I suddenly remembered that about 4 years ago, in 2016, when I was running my blog, I had I'd written a blog about fan-made superhero movies, and most of them were shorts. So when I was writing that article, I spent 3 weeks watching so many short films, and I watched some trash, but I watched some really good ones as well. And I thought, you know what? I've already done the research here. Why don't I just go through my list? And I chose the better ones, or like the ones that I enjoyed the most out of that list. That was my reasoning for going down the superhero route, mate, because I've seen them before. I like them, and I needed to make my life a little bit easy for once.
Well, my choices could not be any different to your ones.
I know. That's the beauty of it.
Because when I mentioned this topic to you, you were like, "Oh, short films. How are we going to review this? Like, it's going to be a bit difficult." So I kind of, to make it a little bit more easier for you in a way, I chose short films that were in Cannes. So so I've got a short film from Cannes, short film from Sundance, one that won Best Short at the Oscars. And I chose the animated short film that is based on the film industry.
Yeah.
So that's how I chose my films this week.
Well, none of mine will be appearing in Cannes, mate, or any film festivals.
Are they easy to search though?
They're all on YouTube. No worries.
Okay, cool. Perfect.
One thing I'll say is they're all of mine, with the exception of one. They're all live action. Batman vs Terminator is stop motion. It's only 5 minutes long, but it's a stop motion.
Oh, okay.
Have you got your synopsis? Are you ready to synopsinize me, or have you got your?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant! Because I'm not ready, so I'll scramble around while you're reading.
Cool. So, Third Kind. It's sci-fi, directed by. I'm gonna be brutal when I say this. So, Yorgos Zois. It's a 32-minute short.
Yeah.
And the synopsis is: Earth has been abandoned long ago, and the human race has now found refuge in outer space. 3 archaeologists return to the planet to investigate where a mysterious 5-tone signal is coming from. Acid. So this was from This came out at Sundance. It's a horror.
Yep.
It goes for 18 minutes.
Yep.
And the synopsis is: a young family desperately seeks shelter from an approaching storm, but this is no ordinary storm. It burns.
It burns?
Yep.
Bernie Storm.
Yep.
I like it.
Skin. I think Steve chose this film, and I haven't seen it yet, so it's intrigued me.
Okay.
Directed by Guy Nativ. It was done in 2018. It goes for 20 minutes. Synopsis is: in a small supermarket in a blue-collar town, a black man smiles at a 10-year-old white boy across the checkout aisle. This innocent moment sends 2 gangs into a ruthless war that ends with a shocking backlash.
Okay.
And my last one is Rebooted. This is the animation. So it is not. So synopsis is: it is not easy for a movie star to age, especially when you're a stop-motion animated skeleton monster. Phil, once a terrifying villain on a silver screen, struggles to find work in a modern Hollywood due to being out of date special effect.
Okay. And how long was this one?
I'd say about 15. It's not too long.
Yeah.
So they're my shorts that I've chosen.
Right. So my first pick was Batman Dead End. And spoilers, it's got Batman in it. So this is so Batman Dead End. It's a fan film. It's written and directed by Sandy Cholera. It premiered July 19th, 2003 at the San Diego Comic Con. Of course it did. Mm-hmm. And the film crosses over the DC Comics heroes Batman with Alien and Predator. And how long is this? This is 8 minutes long, this one. So it's a shorty. It is a shorty. It's a shorty short.
Short.
Short. Not board shorts, not jean shorts. So my next pick was Batman versus the Terminator. And I don't know if you want to guess what that's about.
Is Batman and Terminator featured in this?
Yeah, a little bit. This is only 6 minutes long, and it came out in 2016, and it was directed by Captain McKay, who I think's a bit of a YouTuber. As I say, it's Batman versus Terminator, but what I really like about this is that it's done in stop motion. It kind of fuses a lot of different elements of different era Batmans, and it uses it kind of nicks the original Brad Fiedel score from the original Terminator as well. But it's done really well. It's stop motion, and it's not the sort of thing that I tend to watch an awful lot of, that sort of thing. But I really like it. So my next pick is Marvel's Zombies versus Army of Darkness. There's a lot of verses going on in my picks, I must admit. This is 8 minutes, but this is the one where I'm counting 2 as 1. So you've got Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness, and then you've got Ash versus Lobo. So what it is in the first of these films, I don't want to spoil too much about this, but basically, if you know anything about Marvel Zombies, the Marvel characters, some of them become zombies. Maybe there's a certain character who has a certain popular character we may have mentioned earlier on in the show, who has like a healing factor. So whenever he gets shot or injured, he immediately heals. Imagine if there's a zombie that can immediately heal. And that film very much answers that question. That's something that I've always wondered to myself, sort of thing that keeps me up at night. But yeah, so it's exactly what it says: Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness. So there's a dude in this playing a version of Ash from Evil Dead, and I have to say, he was brilliant. I mean, the character's iconic character, but he does it really well. And it features some really like mainstream, prolific Marvel characters as well. And the sequel goes from the Marvel universe and it goes into the DC universe. It's a very interesting, super fanboy, fan-made film. The first one is 8 minutes long. The second one is 20 minutes long. So if we call it 28 minutes for the two. So my last one was The Death and Return of Superman. This came out in 2011 and it's a 17-minute short. Written and directed by Max Landis, and it's about the comic book story arc in 92, quite a big deal, the death of Superman. And it sort of explains what happens in that comic and points out plot holes. It's a bit of fun talking about that particular comic run. Elijah Wood is in this, and he plays like a comedic version of Cyborg Superman, and he's got a hilarious costume. I've got a picture of him somewhere. Do you know what? I might post it later on Instagram. But
yeah, cool.
It was quite an entertaining. I've only seen it once, but I think it made me laugh out loud a few times. So there are my picks. You've got 4. I've got technically 5, but we'll call it 4. How are we going to do this? I kind of want to see all of yours, to be honest.
Let's just review all of our films for next week.
Shall we? Shall we?
Why not? Let's do that.
Let's just watch all of them. We don't have to stick to format, do we? We do what we want. That's the beauty of having your own podcast, mate. We've got no men in suits to report to, no forms to fill in. Can we please do this thing? Yes, let's go through 17 layers of management. And I'm sorry, I'm moaning about bureaucracy now.
Did you have any honourable mentions?
Yes. Well done. I did. Have you got some? Yeah,
I do.
Oh, what you got?
So, honourable mentions: Falling Leaves, which is a drama.
Yeah.
A brother guides his younger sister through the inner workings of the family business, which is embalming dead bodies.
Oh,
so
lovely.
When someone passes, it's quite good. I might send you the links to these ones if you want to check them out. Anyway.
Yeah.
This is a bit funny. Marcy learns something new. Comedy. Yeah. Marcy is a widow, and she's learning about BDSM.
Oh, why didn't you put that on the list?
Yeah. wait for the next one, mate. Wait for the next one.
Hang on, just write it down. Marcy. Go on, what's the next one? It piqued my interest, mate.
It's called Stuck.
I don't know. I couldn't possibly make a connection between those two things.
Comedy. Recently broken up couple. They end up in an emergency room due to a sex toy mishap.
Sign me up.
Anyway, I'll send you that link.
Yeah, send us that link. Encrypted file.
The Unconditional was my last one, which is a documentary. It's about a family who have 2 kids, and they have an undiagnosed disability. So the kids look like they've got CP, which is,
What's that?
but I'm not a doctor, so but yeah, you get to see this. I think it goes for 20 minutes, maybe longer. So lovely. It's lovely but heartbreaking short doco, I have
Hard
to
to
say.
watch.
So they're my So they were my honourable mentions.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, I would say all of mine is genre stuff. There's no dramas here, my friend. It's all space aliens and superheroes, I'm afraid. But that's what I wanted to pick. So that's what I'm going to do. So the first one was a short that I watched a few years ago called "Don't Look Away," and that's a horror, and it's quite a good little horror. It's about a girl who's on the phone to her old man, and she looks out the window, and a dude appears, and he's got a bag on his head and a chain around him. And her dad says, "Don't look away. You can't look away." And every time she looks away, the bloke gets a little bit closer. And it's it's a well-made, just nice, easy watch little kind of horror film. The Laughing Man, which is a 2016 film, which is sort of a rip-off of Joker and Harley Quinn, really. Punisher, Dirty Laundry was on there, which is a short film with Thomas Jane returning as Punisher. Deadpool, A Typical Tuesday. Oh, what else was on there? Spider-Man Eclipse. And there's one I don't know. I think I found it and I wanted to watch it, but I didn't get time. But Demon in the Dark, Batman versus the Secret Six, which sounded quite interesting to me. Lynn Ramsey had done a short called Bridget, which I haven't had a chance to watch, but apparently that is about a photographer, I think, by the looks of it. So you might be interested in that one, mate.
Bridget, yeah.
Bridget,
writing that down right now.
Our good old podcast pal Lynn Ramsey, our favourite. She seems to be our favourite at the moment, doesn't she? But I saw that and I thought you might be interested in that one, but there's no way that I was going to pick it.
Perfect.
Anything by David F. Sandberg, really, who's known for his horror stuff. He directed Shazam recently. He did an Annabelle sequel, but before that, he did a film called Lights Out, which was based on a short film. So for years, I think he was in Sweden. Him and his partner were making short horror films, and he would just make everything himself. So he made a dolly from like plumbing material, plumbing pipes, and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, great!
Super fascinating guy. Seems like a lovely dude. I went to a screening of Shazam last year, and they had an interview with the director, David F. Sandberg, and he just seems like a super nice dude, just sort of like proper grounded and stuff. And some of his shorts are quite good as well. He's got a few which are worth watching, I would say. I won't name any of them. Lights Out probably is the go-to one, but there are other, I think, more interesting ones that he's done.
David F. Sandberg.
Sì.
Grazie.
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 There's been a couple of Alien short films recently. I saw one of them and it was quite good. I was considering those, but didn't. And my last one is kind of my go-to short, really. It's by Christopher Nolan. It's called Doodlebug. And I haven't seen it for a while, but it's kind of the one that I think of if someone mentions shorts to me, because it's Christopher Nolan and it's where it all began for him. So that's a nice little watch, mate. But kind of a bit obvious. And I wanted to go for my superheroes, like I said.
Yeah.
But that's my honourable mentions, mate. We've got quite a few there, haven't we?
We do. I reckon, you know how I'm doing the 300 films this year? I should do like 1,000 shorts next year or something.
I think you should definitely do 1,000 shorts, yeah.
Because like 300 shorts, you could smash that out easily.
You'd probably do it in a day.
Yeah.
Well, not a day. An amount of time, which is significantly more than 1 day, but significantly less than 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Time, that's how time works, mate. There are pockets of time.
There you go.
Quantum entanglement. I don't know what we're talking about. What am I talking about? Fuck knows. So we've done shorts. So we didn't do any recaps. We didn't do any knocking out. We completely changed it up this week. But I suppose we should just do a final recap on what we're actually choosing, right?
Yeah. My shorts for next week: The Third Kind, Acid, Skin, and Rebooted.
Awesome. My shorts are Batman Dead End, Batman versus Terminator, Marvel's Zombies versus Army of Darkness, and Ash versus Lobo, and The Death and Return of Superman. We're going to be watching all of them next week. So you've got a new notepad. I'm going to acquire a new quill, put on a candle. I'll wear like a gothic shirt.
Sounds good.
Should have done that for the vampire episode, really. I've always wanted a quill. I've always wanted a quill. Why haven't I ever owned a quill? It's very odd that I've never owned a quill.
Adding that to your wish list.
Wish list. Get one for £1. Oh dear! I tell you what I did used to do. I used to you find feathers in the outside. I used to sometimes take the feathers back and try and dip that in like some paint and pretend to write with it when I was a baby.
Yeah.
Well, baby, probably not baby. A toddler. Or
young boy, a young Kevin.
Young Kevin, all right, steady on, mate. Yes.
I've actually got calligraphy pens. I used to do it back in the day when I was like 12, 13. I did calligraphy for a bit.
Right. So before the batteries run out on my headphones, shall we move on to the final section where it's Stitch Up, and we've got to talk about who got stitched
Braindead.
up, what they had to watch, and it was you, yeah. Braindead.
I was enjoying having this time off, not reviewing a third film.
Yeah, I bet you were. Do you remember what it's like to have to watch a film that you don't want to watch? I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on it. You might have really liked it, but I chose it because I thought it was something that you may not enjoy.
I got this film out of the way. So Braindead, or Dead Alive as another title, directed by Peter Jackson, 1992. Tagline is, "Some things won't stay down even after they die." Synopsis is, when a Sumatran rat monkey bites Lionel Colescroat's mother, she transforms into a zombie and begins killing and transforming the entire town while Lionel races to keep things under control. This film, okay. So it starts off with they're in Sumatra, Indonesia, and there's a Kiwi guy and a local, and they find this rare rat monkey, as said in the synopsis. Anyway, and then it goes back. So this Sumatran rat monkey arrives in Wellington, New Zealand.
I was going to ask where this was set. Wellington, awesome.
Yeah. Lionel
Richie.
Lionel Richie will say
Hello.
that. Stop singing, you. His mother is like always on him and like just clings to him.
Controlling, isn't she? Like
very
overbearing
controlling.
mother.
That's the word. Thank you, Jan.
You are welcome.
His mum is
very polite this episode, aren't we?
His mum is very controlling, and Lionel goes to the local grocery shop where he meets Maria.
Yeah. And
Maria beforehand talks to her nonna and is doing some card reading, tarot reading.
Yeah. And
one of the things that comes up is that she's only going to have one proper romantic love, and she will find this love with a sign of a star. And then somehow, while he's shopping in the at her store, a star appears, and she's like, "Oh my God, he is my one true love!" And she comes fascinated by him.
That classic love story, tarot reading predicts star. What you get is zombie.
Clearly, how I haven't met my man yet, because I need to do a tarot reading.
You do. You just need to get a zombie rat monkey. Well, you need to do that as well, don't you? And a kung fu priest. If you have all of those elements perfectly aligned, then you'll probably meet the love of your life.
I'll be set for life.
Yeah, or you'll get eaten by raging zombie monsters.
They decide to go on a date. So they go on a date at the zoo. And Lionel's mum spies on him, and she's not quite impressed with Maria. Anyway, as she's spying on him, the Sumatran monkey somehow bites her.
Yeah.
And all goes to shit after that. She turns into this zombie. Anyway, Kung Fu Priest comes in. He's like, "Oh yeah, I can sort these zombies out," and he's like, "Fucking." It is the funniest, one of the funniest scenes.
Please tell me he's kicking off heads.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah," and just like doing random fucking kung fu to all of these people. And then he gets bitten, and then he becomes a zombie.
Oh.
And another funny scene with a Kung Fu Priest is him. Oh, is it funny? It's a bit much.
I think this whole film's tongue in cheek, though, isn't it? Like, none of this film is serious, is it? It's just fucking craziness. It's just absolute fucking carnage. It's a long, long time since I've seen it, I must be honest. But I think I saw it once or twice when I was a kid. I remember my dad quite enjoying it. I think my dad found it fucking hilarious. And he made me watch it. And we had a bit of a laugh about it. But I've never really had any desire to revisit it.
No.
Not if you want to keep your lunch down.
Oh, well, speaking of lunch, I was eating my lunch. I was like, because it was midday, I was like, oh yeah, I'll have a little snack while I'm watching this film.
Did you go for a tomato soup, did you? Or
no. I had some tuna on some rice crackers.
All right, very middle class.
Some avocado. If you
avocado as well. Oh, blimey.
And pesto. If we're going all the way.
Fucking hell, mate, you've changed. You've changed. I used to be so grounded. You used to eat Cocoa Pops with me at work, and now you're eating fucking avocado.
I didn't.
I know. I was the only one that ate the Cocoa Pops.
So, eating my lunch, and then this scene comes on when Lionel puts a lunch on for his mum, who's like just started to become this zombie, and these two locals, I guess you will say, they're like, "Oh, is there anything for dessert? Custard, okay." Oh, I had to put my food down watching this scene. I was just like, this is so fucking disgusting. Yeah. So some pus comes out of his mum's neck.
I love it.
And lands into one of the visitors' soup.
I remember this now.
And he just didn't know absolutely anything. And he's just fucking chugging this bloody custard down. I was like, oh God, no. And I was just like, yep, I'm going to wait till this scene is fucking end before I finish my lunch. And then her ear also falls in the custard as well.
Lovely.
I was just like, whoop.
There goes that 5-star Trustpilot rating.
Yeah.
I found an ear in my custard.
That's not what I ordered. They have this, as I was saying, they're having this house party, and then the whole house becomes zombies. And how he kills them all in the end is with a lawnmower.
Yeah. It's pretty graphic, isn't it? At that point, from what I remember, isn't it just total fucking zombie kill carnage?
Bloody red blood everywhere. What am I giving this film? For Kung Fu Priest, I'll give it a star for that.
Yeah,
that was pretty funny. The zombie baby was pretty funny.
Brilliant.
I'll give it a half a star for that. I'll give it. You know what? I'll give it 2.5 stars.
Wow, that's pretty brutal, mate. You're saying that you rate this the same as what I rated Extraterrestrial Visitors?
Yeah.
You need to watch Extraterrestrial Visitors.
I know.
2.5 stars. Well, I'm happy with that because that's like pretty poor rating, and I think it sounds like I actually chose all right then.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, you didn't do too bad.
Yeah. So finally, you had to watch a stitch up.
Yeah.
And we got to find out now who's going to be watching the next one. And it was your turn to pick the poll this time. So what were our choices this week, mate? What did we choose for each other?
For you, I chose Bride and Prejudice. You chose for me Argento's Dracula 3D.
I did.
And when I put the poll on, so when with my poll, I don't say who do you want to vote for, Jan or Nicole. I put which film wouldn't you want to watch. A few of my mates chose Dracula 3. I'm like, what are you doing? That's my film. They're like, Pride and Prejudice isn't that bad though. I go, yeah, but don't be putting points on me.
Okay.
Anyway, it was 11 votes total. As my mate said, Bride and Prejudice, not a bad film. So, Dan, you have to review that next week.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I mean, I do like me some Jane Austen. So I've always got a Jane Austen novel on the go, mate. So Bride and Prejudice, this is Bollywood.
Bollywood. It is Bollywood.
This will be my first ever Bollywood film.
Ever?
Watching? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Get out.
Well, they tend to be musicals, don't they? They tend to have music and dance numbers in. And it's not I don't like music and dancing in my films, mate. They can leave it well alone. So I can't wait to get that in my eyeballs. Well, I'm hoping with the next choice, people will side with me. I don't know, but it's my turn to put on the poll.
Do you have an idea in mind, or shall I choose?
Oh, I know what I'm going for, mate. Don't you worry.
I'm not choosing a romantic or a musical this week.
Thank the Lord.
I'm actually going horror for you.
This could go horribly wrong, couldn't it?
Last year, for Kris Kringle,
what?
Someone got a film for their Kris Kringle.
What's a Kris Kringle?
Oh, sorry, Secret Santa. You guys call it Secret Santa.
Yeah.
We call it Kris Kringle here.
Okay.
So Zoltan got a DVD, and it's called Zoltan Hound of Dracula. And one of our mates reviewed it, and it's 1 star on his letterbox. So I want you to watch that. Mm-hmm.
Another vampire film.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So Zoltan, Hound of Dracula for me on the poll for next week. For you, Nick, you've sort of stuck with a theme here. Like a running theme seems to be vampires at the moment. Another running theme we've got going at the moment is cats.
Oh, no.
I've chosen a film for you called A Talking Cat. And guess what that's about, mate?
Cats talking?
A cat what talks to humans. But the cat can only talk once. It can only have one conversation with humans. And I've watched a trailer. I've watched a review. I watched someone do a review about it. And I had no idea. I'd never heard of this film, and someone sent me a link to this film on IMDb, and I looked at the director's work, and he's got so much stuff on there. I could just add his entire filmography and just call that your Stitch Up list for the next 10,000 years. So I'm going for A Talking Cat. So that's it, isn't it? We're done. My headphones are starting to run out of battery. They're starting to go low battery. So we better wrap it up, mate. We've done everything now anyway, so we might as well just... I did it again. It just went battery low. You can't hear that, but it's going in my ear, and it's very distracting. So we've done it. We've done Tilda Swinton. We watched 2 Tilda Swinton films. We picked our short films for next week, and we're going to be watching 9 short films in total. So I'm not going to reel them off now and recap what they are, because we'll be here all day. I'll just put it on the caption. I lost the poll, and I've got to watch Bride and Prejudice, my first Bollywood film. So that'd be interesting, if nothing else. And on the poll, next week's poll, it's Zoltan, Hound of Dracula for me versus A Talking Cat for you. I will put that poll on, and if you're listening to this on the Monday, then it'll be on tomorrow. If you're listening to this on Tuesday, then chances are this poll is out right now. On my Instagram. So head over and check that out and vote for Nicole to watch A Talking Cat.
No, don't be like that.
Cutting all your stuff out, mate. Well, that's it, innit? We've done it all, mate. So let's just, what is there left to do? It's just to sign off. If you want to head over to My Instagram, check out that poll. I'm at flick.face. On Twitter, I'm flick_face. Email the show at twinpixpod@gmail.com, where you give us some ideas for themes, or give us ideas for themes in any of those places. If you want to see a particular film listed, or you've got an idea for a theme, let us know.
Or a stitch-up film for Dan, or for myself.
Or a stitch-up film just for Nicole.
You can find me on Nika Creative or Chica Nika on Instagram.
Yeah, so if you made it this far, thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week with our shorts episode.
Get some Chuck Norris in you.
Cheers.
Bye.